Well, hello and welcome to At Home Today. We're so glad you came by. And I don't know where you are, but it's a cold day. And nothing warms a cold body better, well, maybe I shouldn't say better, but one of the things that warms a cold body is a good hot bowl of soup. And that's what we're going to do today. 3 different kinds of hearty soups. Mom would say they stick to your ribs, and these will, because they're really good soups. Before we start, I want to read you some comments that we've gotten from our website. Now, if you have not ever gone to the website, you have to, because there's so much stuff going on there, it's amazing. And it's just at www.ctvn.org. When you get there, it's all about Cornerstone Television. I mean, the whole ministry is represented there. Plus, there's a little dot where you hit and says At Home. And then that opens you up to the whole At Home world. And there's just a lot of stuff there. And really, if you haven't visited, you need to go by and see it, because there's things you'd be interested in. This one's from Sandra from here in Pennsylvania. She says, Arlene, I really enjoy your show. My neighbor, Mary Ann, kept saying about watching your show, so I decided I would watch it too. Well, heaven's sakes, I'm addicted too. Please, it's a good kind of addiction. Please keep up the wonderful show and cooking, and God bless you and your crew. There you go, crew. Sincerely, Sandy. Thanks, Sandy. We appreciate that. This one's from Dot. She says, I received your October newsletter because the pumpkin apple streusel muffins look so great. I made them for a party, and the people raved about them. Then I made them again the next day and shared them with my parents and my mother-in-law and coworkers. That's what I like to hear. Wow, what a hit. That recipe will become one I make often. The kitchen smells terrific while baking, too. Thank you for not only your recipes, but for your show, because it picks me up when I'm down, and for reminding me that God is always there to listen and to help. I've ordered your newest cookbook, and I can't wait till it comes. Thank you so much, Dot. I really, really appreciate it. Well, stick with us now, because as soon as the hint's over, we'll be right back to start our hearty soups for a cold winter day. We'll be right back. Here's today's at-home hint. Soup can be a combination of vegetables, meat, or fish cooked in a liquid. It may be thick like gumbo, thin like consommé, smooth like bisque, or chunky like chowder. Though most soups are hot, some like vichyssoise and many fruit soups are served cold.
If you have an at-home hint, a favorite recipe, or just a friendly greeting you'd like to share, we'd like to hear from you. Post it in the comments of this video or visit our Facebook page.
Well, we're turning the at-home kitchen into a soup kitchen today, because we've got 3 pots and they're going to be full to the brim with wonderful soups. The first one we're making is stuffed pepper soup. Now, you know, we know what the traditional stuffed peppers are, and we all like them, but this has just come up into popularity just recently. People made it into a soup, and believe me, it's delicious. And I don't know if you remember, I think it was a New Year's show, we had Debbie Duke and her daughter Melanie, who is one of the amazing kids organization. She belonged to that organization, and her mom gave me this recipe. So we've got 2 pounds of ground beef going to town in there, and you want to get that brown, and you're going to add a large onion chopped, just like that, and green pepper. Now I've added some red because the red are sweeter, and we just chop them up, okay? So you want to brown these off. This might take a little bit of time, but it's worth the wait. That's 5 all green pepper, or you can do red and green pepper. Like I said, I like the combination. And we've got the fire up nice and high on this, because this is going to brown really well. When this browns, you can see, look at the color in that. That's awesome. We're going to then add some other ingredients to this. And I'm going to talk you through that. Get that piece out of there. Now we're going to add some tomato soup. We're going to add some beef broth to go along with that. A little pinch of brown sugar. It might be the secret ingredient. Some rice, salt and pepper, and some tomato sauce. That's the basic ingredients for this, and it's really, really easy. It's not a hard soup to make. So while this is browning, we're going to go ahead and start with the next one, because I want this to get nice and brown. And it's not there yet. The soup's cooked, but I want the vegetables to get brown. Okay, in this pan, let's go to this pan. This pan, I don't know if you're like us or not, but Paul and I love French onion soup. When you go to a restaurant, you get a crock of French onion soup, and it's one of those things that warms your innards, as they say. And it's not a hard soup to make by any means. It really, really isn't. And you just want to melt your butter, have your pan nice and hot, get the butter going in there. Make sure it's good butter, because butter is a foundational basis for this soup. If you use margarine, it's going to taste like margarine and onions. So you want to keep the butter going. The butter's the flavor. All right, to that, 4 large onions. Now, this is 4 large onions, but you know, our produce supplier, Jordan's, they give us the best of everything. And this is large. These are large onions. You don't need to do this many if you didn't want to. So I'm just going to do about maybe like half of these. But you know what? You can't go wrong when you use a lot of onions, because they're delicious. They're good for you. And we're going to let these brown off. They have to get wilted and really get cooking there. And you know, there's not a lot of ingredients to this kind of a soup, but the important thing is letting these onions render their flavor and let the juice come out of them, because that's the foundation of the taste of that soup. French onion, and you have to put the cheese on the top. You know, well, we're not there yet. Okay, let's see how we're doing with our pepper soup. Yeah, we're getting there. This is looking good. Okay, I think we're okay to go on. Now we're going to add, so you have a lot of grease in your meat, you want to drain it off. This is really nice and lean, so we don't have to do that with this. Now we're going to add, this is our broth. This is like a can like this of beef broth. And then we're going to add, you see my cans over here. We're going to add 1 can of water to, you'll see why. But let's do it now while we're thinking about it. Here's our beef broth can. And just 1 can of water. Now this is going to look like it's a lot of liquid in here, but you got to remember, we're going to add some rice to this, and that will cook it up, okay? Now this is 6 cans of tomato soup, or you could use the big family size ones too. This is a lot of tomato soup going in here. Put it in there and then pour it so it doesn't splash everywhere. Okay? Scrape it out. Mama says somebody's mouthful is in there. You know, when I get to this time of the year when it's cold now, I always think about Mama, because she could put together a meal that was so fantastic and quickly. My sister-in-law and I were just talking about that the other day. She says, Arlene, I never saw anybody could put a meal together like your mother. I said, because she always had a plan, and she really did. She always had a plan on how to do it. And I tell you what, when she made a meal, everybody that partook of it was glad they were there, believe me. Okay, now we're adding our tomato sauce. You have to love people and love to feed people. There's something about, that's a joy for me to be able to feed people. I don't know what it is. The crew here brings me joy every time we have these Mike's clearing his throat because he knows. No, but it is fun. I love when I prepare this and then, you know, the employees come out or the crew's eating. It makes me feel good. I feel like, well, gee, you know, they're enjoying what my hands have prepared. And when you write me letters and say, boy, that was so good, just like she did today saying, Sandy said, wow, those were such good, you know, this was such good food. That makes me feel good. I'm happy about that. Now I'm going to add the rice, and what you're going to want to do, keep an eye on this because you might need to add some more water because this is pretty thick. And when the rice cooks up, you might need to add some water. Just keep an eye on it, but keep it going. Let it come to a boil, and then you're going to turn it down, okay? I'm going to add some pepper and some salt. You're going to want to salt it pretty good because that's a big pot. Okay, so we're just going to let that go. That baby's cooking, and in just about 25 minutes to a half hour, you've got a hearty soup, nice and thick. Look how nice and thick it is already. It's going to be wonderful. If you don't want the peppers that small, cut them in chunks, like 1-inch squares. That would be fine. Okay, let's see how we're doing here. They're getting some color on them. Not quite there yet, but we're going to work at it. We're going to take a break. We come back. We're going to continue with our French onion soup. We'll be right back.
Do you love watching At Home with Arlene Williams? Then be sure to check out our new YouTube channel. It's filled with classic episodes from over 20 years of At Home, and more videos are added each day. And don't forget to click the subscribe button so you'll never miss another episode of At Home.
Well, if you're just joining us, it's soup time here in the At Home kitchen, and I check the recipe, you're supposed to add 5 of these of water also. 1 of the broth, 1 can of the broth, water, and then tomato soup too. So it's really not as thick now, but it's going to cook up more and more. And you might have to add extra water too, so just keep checking it out. But when that when the rice cooks into the soup, it'll get thicker, okay? Well, we're still going with the onions here, and they're looking marvelous. They smell incredible. You want to get them caramelized. Sometimes that takes a good while. Sometimes you have to keep it over high heat, but you will have to watch so that they don't burn. If you just fire it up, and think, oh, I'll get it done fast, they'll burn and then they're no good. So you don't want to do that. But what I am going to do, let me tell you, this we have our butter in and we've got our onions. Now we're going to add the onions. Now I'm going to just add 1 teaspoon of sugar. You say, what's that for? You know what that's for? That sweetness will make these brown up beautifully. But you're going to want to keep an eye on it because you don't want them to burn, as I said before. But that sugar, see, when that hits the heat, that'll bring a brownness to them. The smells are incredible. I just love it. The other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put the lid on this because that'll bring it up quicker too. If you don't want your soup to get real thick quick, put the lid on it. That traps the moisture in and it'll stay thinner. At the end, if this is soupy, take it off and let it cook 10-15 minutes and it'll evaporate and it'll cook down. But for right now, we want it to cook through so that the flavors all blend. Okay, so here we are with our onions. While that one's going to town, still we've got to keep an eye on it because we've added the sugar. And then we're going to add some beef broth to this one too. Now we're going to start the other one. I'm just like, I got soup everywhere today. I feel like I'm, going to open the door for a soup kitchen for anybody that wants to come in. Okay, this one is an Italian sausage soup. And really, this one you just put it all together. This is a great soup. Okay, we have our sausage, and it has already been browned. And this is sweet sausage. This is not hot, this is sweet. And all we're going to do with this one is we're going to add, let me see here, we're going to add our cooked macaroni, which is ditaloni. These are the little tiny, they're like, see that? Yeah, that's what these are, ditaloni. We're going to add that in with our sausage, okay? And already, when you have sausage, you have wonderful smells, especially when it's Italian, because that seasoning in there that's Italian is great. We're going to add the macaroni to that. Those little detalles, your kids would love that. If you just put sauce on that for the kids, they love that. Because it's little spaghettis. It's not great big pieces of pasta. And they like those little pieces. I remember as a kid, we used to make necklaces out of this, Mike. String it on a piece of string, and we had a necklace. Times were bad. No, they weren't that bad. It was fun, though. Why not? Okay, and now we're going to add some beef broth. This is going to be 6 cups of beef broth. Okay. And then, oh boy, beef broth is the basis you can see for these soups today, but it's so good because when you try to do this with all water, it just misses something. You can do bouillon cubes if you use water, but you have to keep the ration right, because if you don't, it's going to taste too watery, it's going to taste too beefy. So on the side of the bouillon cubes, it tells you what you have to do to get it a certain so much cups of beef, all that. So follow that really. It's really important to follow that. Let me stir this. Okay. So then, now we're going to add tomatoes in puree. This is going to go into our Italian sausage. Yum, yum. Okay. Oh, already. It's going to be good. And we have some black pepper. We don't do any salt here because the sausage has a lot of salt, so you want to stay away from that. But we're just going to leave these cook down. Now, you want these to come up to a rolling boil. It's really important to do that because if you don't, they're never going to really blend. The flavors are not going to blend well. Now we're going to add some chopped spinach. And this, you want to cook it and then press it out so you get the moisture out of it, and then just add it to your soup. Okay? About a ½ pound. You can do the fresh, cook it, or you can do the frozen, whatever. Whatever is easiest for you. Okay? I think I need to add a bit more. Let me see. I think add a little bit more beef because it's supposed to be 6 cups. I don't think I did the 6 cups in here. So we're going to add some more. I think we're about there now. Okay, and now our onion, oh, doing beautiful. Getting there. You can see they're getting browned. You can see how the caramelization's coming on them. Oh yeah, this is what we're looking for. Beautiful. I want you to see this. See that? That's what we're looking for, that brownness. Perfect. Okay, now to this, we're going to add our beef stock. There we go. Wonderful. Okay, and we're going to add 1 cup of water to this one too. Okay, and that just kind of tones down that broth just a bit. Hey, sometimes, you know, when you're cooking this many soups, it's hard to keep them all separated in your mind, what's going where and who's going with it, you know. But anyway, this is about done now, and we're going to add some flour. We're going to thicken this a little bit, but we're going to let this cook because this needs to really blend in flavors. And we're going to put our lid on our Italian sausage soup. Now this soup, when you serve it, you're going to serve it in a bowl, and then you're going to grate some good cheese. Like I like the Pecorino Romano, and don't buy it in a little box. Get a piece and grate it. Oh, so good, so delicious. Our onion soup, we're going to place in these, and how we're going to serve that. These are oven-proof bowls. Pick them up at a yard sale. I think I paid 10 cents a piece for these bowls. And they're just a nice little size. You can use them for all kinds of things. But to serve that, we're going to take some garlic-flavored croutons and put about 1/3 of a cup in the bottom of each bowl, like this. And then we'll ladle our soup in the bowl on top. Some people do a slice of bread that they've toasted or whatever. And then after you ladle soup, you're going to put a piece of Swiss cheese, and then goes under the broiler. Now, if you're like Paul and I, we get this, all the cheese that goes down the edge of the bowl, that's the best part, because that's baked on there. That's, you don't ever like, oh, I can't eat that. That's the best part. You pick that up here. Right, Michael? Yeah, Mike agrees. And that, you just watch that under the broiler because it doesn't take long for that to start to really melt. And it goes down into the soup. Oh, it's wonderful. And so we've got all the soups going. I think we're almost there with all of this. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be eating and partaking of our soup buffet today here at home.
Just go to ctvn.org/athome to get all the recipes from today's show for free. That's right, no subscriptions. They're available online at no cost, and more are being added each day. So join us at ctvn.org/athome to get today's recipes now.
Well, here we are with our soups right here at the counter because I want you to see how you're going to serve each of them because it's different. This is our Italian sausage soup. I'm just going to grate some Pecorino Romano, fresh, nothing like the fresh, right over top of that soup, as much or as little as you want. My old friend Sam at the delicatessen used to call that snow. Get the snow, he'd say to me, and that's what he would use, the Romano. Next to it, we put a crusty bread. That would go nicely with that. This, my friend, is our stuffed pepper soup. Look at that. Doesn't it look like stuffed peppers? Oh man, how we loved that when we were kids. Stuffed pepper, mashed potatoes Mama would make. Oh boy, that is a great soup. If you like to fire it up a little bit, Tabasco, whatever you like, okay? And then, next to that, this is our mouth waters. I can hardly tell you that's a French onion soup, because look at the cheese. You can see the little croutons have floated to the top. We have the onions in there, the broth is there, and then the slice of Swiss cheese. And look, like I said, it's baked down over the edge of the bowl. This is an incredible, incredible soup, very hearty. Put a nice salad with that. You could have a really nice dinner, nice crusty bread. We have some Italian bread. You can make this into a really nice, maybe garlic bread or some kind of a bread, or just eat it like this. Wonderful to go with any of these soups. When I was a kid, we thought these were great, these little oyster crackers, and you can float them on top of your soup. This is, this is a great thing to do too. Kids like stuff because they're little and they can hold on to them. This is also great if you take your little ones to church and they're carrying on. Pull out a few crackers and let them have that. Okay, and then our regular saltines are always good. I hope I've given you some ideas of just a variety of things that you could do differently. Maybe you never tried a stuffed pepper soup. And thank you again, Debbie Dukes, for that recipe. I really appreciate it. Or the Italian sausage soup. You know what? Soup is one of those things that warms you. And I kind of liken that to God's love. He covers you and He warms you. And when you make this, put a lot of love in it while you're making it, and then share it with the neighbor next door on the right. Share it with the neighbor on the left. Put some in a quart jar and give it to the pastor. Wouldn't that be nice for him to have a bowl of soup? And his wife. Maybe they're having a quick dinner, and they need to be somewhere. That would be great. It stays in the refrigerator, or you can freeze these soups. So when you have some time on a cold afternoon, why not make some soups and put them in the freezer, and then you just bring them out as needed. It's wonderful. Don't forget, our website is always available, and we really need you to go there at www.ctvn.org, and there is just so much there for you to look at. I know you're going to enjoy taking a visit around. Well, we always enjoy it when you're with us, because when family comes home, it always feels good. And make the most of when your family members stop in. I do when you come, so be sure to join us the next time, because it just wouldn't be the same without you here at home. We'll see you then.
Furnishings provided by Levin Furniture, featuring Lane's Country Living Collection. Food provided by Jordan Banana Company, wholesalers of fresh fruit and vegetables in Trevosburg, Pennsylvania.
Don't forget to click the subscribe button so you'll never miss another episode of At Home. Thank you for watching.
Cornerstone Television wishes to thank all our faithful viewers whose consistent prayers and financial support have made this program possible.